Afternoon. Welcome. Episode 3, Teacher Talk Wednesday. We've had a lovely Easter break. I resemble a beetroot because this is the IT suite roasting hot, and also it's beautiful weather in sunny Devon. So maybe I should apply some sun cream. However, let's move on. I am joined by, without nudging the table, my esteemed colleague, Elton Lane.
Hi, Gary.
Hello. Good. Welcome. We're over here today looking at EdTech. We're looking at a few things. Elton was an NQT who's gone through our CPD program, and he's going to talk about that, which is great, going from a trainee transitioning through. He's doing a lot of innovation in terms of EdTech, using Aurasma. Well, you're going to talk about it in a minute. And also, he's got some great ideas of how to record dedicated improvement reflection time when you teach in a digital context. So great stuff this week. So let's start with your journey over the last 2 years, from an NQT through to where you are now.
Well, NQT, I did mine after training over 2 schools, so it wasn't just here. So I've got a good insight as to what was good and what wasn't good when I arrived. And I was very lucky that coming to this school, I had extra support. I had great support, not just from the NQT supervisor, but from everybody. Okay. Everybody across the school. I had an NQT buddy in Darren Bird, who was fantastic. If I had any issues, I can go to him. I had, at the time, Claire Rayburn was the NQT supervisor. She was a very approachable. It made things a lot easier.
So in a school where there's a supportive open door culture,
it was far better than what I'd received before, where it was a little bit more closed off. This way around, we could go anywhere. Every single door to every single member of staff was open. Okay, they've been brilliant.
Good. And menu of expertise. So I did feature that. I think it's in one of my blogs, but I will come back to it. But it's quite a simple, innovative way to informally get out there and share that practice organically.
Well, I've picked up quite a few tips actually along the way from the menu of expertise, how to sort of engage boys specifically, actually, which you think in an IT environment would be easy. But sometimes it's really not, and it's trying to find different and innovative ways to sort of engage them and keep them on task and stuff. And that's where the menu of expertise has helped me out. Okay, it's been very good.
And hopefully you're going to present at Teach Meet Devon, hashtag TM Devon, little plug there, 1st of July. Great. I think the main point of us coming over here today, we're hoping that it broadcasts or records well, because the internet's a little bit up and down, is I want to talk about the Raspberry Pi and the fact that it was all the rage. It was the big, Mr. Gove, bless him, and computer science, and everyone needs to code. And I think it's massively important, but there's a skills deficit in teachers. And actually, these lovely little boxes here, can you pick one up, or am I going to wreck your wiring?
You can just about see it before.
What's the point of a Raspberry Pi in the classroom? It's not a gimmick. It should be used to enhance learning and obviously that mathematical scientific approach. Someone's coming in. We might get a little student say hi through the door in a minute. So let's talk about the point of why you've set up the Raspberry Pi Hub.
Well, the Raspberry Pi Hub is a simple thing. I was an ICT teacher. I have limited coding experience, and I'm lucky I'm in a department where I have a dedicated coding person she's brilliant, actually, to be fair, and has been teaching me along the way. And this actually created an introduction to programming in a way that I could see it working immediately via Minecraft and various other bits and pieces. And if it was engaging to me, it was going to be engaging to the students. So we've set up the 6 as a little bit of a sort of a trial, and it's worked across all years. We've got all year groups from year 7 all the way to year 12, and it's created a competition sort of environment. And there are other competitions with other schools. NCS Computing on Twitter, we're going to enter one of their computing Minecraft Pi competitions. Okay. So it shows the students that they can actually program and something happening immediately rather than just a white screen with code on.
So is this in lunchtime, break time, after school?
We do this every break time, every lunchtime. Okay. And after schools, we have a 2-hour dedicated coding club.
Is that making an impact in lessons?
Absolutely. The standard of code across the year 10 this year, from what we've been doing all the way through, has jumped. It's a massive step.
Okay. For those of you, we offer GCSE, ICT, A-level, IC.
No, GCSE
I'm gonna get this
ICT,
right, I should know this.
GCSE computing, A-level computing.
Okay, so they basically do computing all the way through, and they also do ICT all the way through, which is in some schools I know doesn't happen. So great stuff. Can you give us, without naming students, one example of how it's turned perhaps someone from a reluctant coder problem solver to someone who's quite, you know, efficient, proficient in problem solving, etc.? Can you think of one without naming them?
We've got one year 8 student, lovely lad, a little bit shy, not always good at coming forward and asking for help, who's taken to code, but it's a straightforward black and white process. If I do this, this works. If I do this, it doesn't. So he's actually logically sequencing things for himself, and then coming to us if there's an area where he thinks he's inefficient with his code. And he's using all the resources. We've got lots of resources here that we keep out for the students. I don't know if anybody can see them.
Those, yeah, I'm sure we can make them available at some point on my blog. I'm sure you'll guest post on there as well. Everyone loves a freebie, by the way.
We also use the Martin O'Hanlon book, Adventures in Minecraft. That's a great way of coding projects in Minecraft, that they can see their code, they get the habit of coding in the correct way, and then seeing something actually happen there and then.
Okay.
And these resources are brilliant. And there's an awful lot of forums, there's an awful lot of help online for people like me who are making that transition to computing, for us to progress as well. It's a great deal of CPD and stuff.
And I know you're doing a lot of stuff with Orasma and things like that. What we'll probably do is, if we put a blog together at some point, and we'll do a few YouTube clips so you can see it in action and how the students use it, and how it can be used to link learning together, because I know we're tight for time. But what I wanted to do was have a look at, this is great. Obviously, last night I looked at I'm trialing the book looks, and staff are looking at using book looks as CPD. Great. Looking at diagnostic sort of marking. Brilliant. But hang on a minute. We don't need to document verbal feedback. Great. From what Ofsted have said. We looked at that with my colleague Phil Roos a few weeks ago. But if you teach in a digital context, such as ICT, computing, it's difficult.
It is difficult, especially in a scenario like ours where we don't have a VLE or any form of way to hand in. We've got one box to hand in on our shared servers. And once the students have handed in, that's it. They can't touch it again. They don't have access to it again. So we've tried to come up with, based on your blogs, we actually read your blogs.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind.
Yeah, we read your blogs. But based on that, as a department, we've come up with this, between Joe and I, as to how we can actually document each student some feedback.
Good.
It might not be the whole class every single
Doesn't
week.
need to be.
But we could pick a third of the class one week, a third of the class the next.
Absolutely.
And then we can actually write it down. It's written lesson by lesson. The students then get the following lesson an opportunity to respond to their feedback in their dedicated improvement time. And then we have an end of module review for them and us, which every staff or every student will have. It also documents their homework. It also allows them to see their current level and their target level. And all the evidence, and we make a copy of all the homeworks and actually stick it on there using stickers.
Excellent, because obviously we need to dispel the marking myth. I've tried to do that, and I want to really sort of bring out soon and talk about what we should mark, what we shouldn't mark. But this is a great way of doing it, because what we don't want it to be is a hoop jumping exercise that is counterproductive when you could be actually teaching the students. You're marking for the sake of it. If it's going to make a difference, you do it.
Well, you see, with our code work, it's very difficult to do sort of serious marking, because if you've got 3 or 4 pages of code that you've got to print out, and then to actually go through it, you're more likely to miss the mistakes that the students have made, because it's tiny and it's over. But the real feedback is, does it work? Is it efficient?
Yeah.
How do we get it to be efficient? And that's where we can actually document it. But using our sort of monitoring software, we can see what the students are doing. We can take immediate screenshots. We can print them out. We can have it as evidence. And then we can say, why not actually use this as a way of making it more efficient? Then students get an opportunity to follow this and to feed that back for themselves, read it and actually
doing what's right for the student.
Yeah.
Superb. It's exactly what we want to hear.
It allows them to see their mistakes as we've seen it, and then respond to it, and then try and put it right for the next time round.
I know we're tight for time. Let's talk about Pie in the Sky. That's obviously your Twitter name, @Pie, P-I-I, no, P-I in the Sky. 2015. Briefly explain to us what it's all about.
Well, we're going to send one of the Raspberry Pis. We've just bought one of the new A+s, and we're going to send it into the edges of space as a high altitude balloon exercise, as a sort of a celebration of the new computer curriculum, and the differences between. We've got some students that have come in and are programming the Pi. We're going to take some measurements in space of air temperature, air qualities.
Amazing.
As it goes up, its altitude, its speed going up, speed coming down, various other bits and pieces, and a video and some photographs. And we're going to have it hopefully tweeting as it goes up.
Wow.
And texting us with photographs and images that we can tweet immediately as it's on its way up and on its way down.
And I'm sure you'll be advertising the launch. And you're still looking for sponsorship?
We are looking for sponsorship. We're very lucky.
A little plug there.
We've got sponsorship with the local businesses in the area already. We've got Absolute 360 have been brilliant enough to sponsor us.
That's at Absolute 360.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And Umberto and his team, they've been brilliant to sponsor us for quite a bit of money, actually, to be fair to them. They took a bit of a gamble with us, but thankfully they did. And it's allowed us to move forward. And we're in a school that have actually supported me to do it.
Oh, yeah. We're all about that. That's what we need. Innovation.
Yeah, I've got people helping me with the health and safety forms because there's an awful lot of that. The insurance alone is very expensive. So
your air traffic control clearance.
Air traffic control clearance, which I'm just waiting on at the moment. Okay. CAA, we have to fly through 3 different flight zones.
I've got one question though. How do you know where it's going to land?
We do a run predict, a sort of a launch and landing predictor. So we will tell it where we're starting from in coordinates. The predictor then looks at the weather patterns at the moment, and it will let us know roughly how high it will be before we burst, and then where it's likely to come down, based on a 5 meters per second ascent, and then.
And then the students doing all of this.
Students are all doing all of this.
What age group of students?
I've got year 9 through to year 11.
So that's for our American colleagues out there. That's about 14 to 16-year-olds. Yep. Phenomenal.
Yeah, they're brilliant. But it's a great way of actually letting the students loose and letting them do something. It's not just because we can. It does have a purpose in sort of advertising the programming side of it to the students. And we've got a lot more students from year 7s and year 8s showing a lot of interest in it as well.
So really, that was a lovely little sort of get together. Hopefully you found it very useful. There's a lot of innovation going on here. Come by the college anytime if you're passing sunny Devon. I'm sure you'll guest post on my blog at some point. Hopefully you'll try and get involved in the Teach Meet Devon, #TM Devon, 1st of July. And see you soon. See you next week. Bye-bye.